record this? I can. Okay, that's good. So, could wait a little bit for people to tune in. I'm not so sure if I should stream on Twitch or just Zoom. I'm not quite sure about that, but over experience, I think we'll see how that goes anyway. We'll start from Monday actually. So we'll just do some back testing, then speak about price, etc., which we usually do. Turkish has been going on a run, bro. EU has been dropping today. That's been dropping. Anyways, what is up, guys? Like, how you guys doing? How's everybody doing? How was your Monday going? Pretty slow. Pretty slow. Let me know what's up. I'll just get going, and then whenever somebody joins, it's not that deep. So what we see is, in the higher time frame structure, wise, we have bounced from 4-hour POI right here, right? This is our 4-hour demand zone. It is not a significant demand zone. It's more like a 1 hour. But we had a nice bounce from it after taking the lows. We had a nice flip. After the flip, we came to a retest, and after that retest, we had a nice run up. So that gives me good confirmation that we want to run higher. And of course, this seems like a liquidity soup, which it is not in my opinion, because we are trading above it for quite frequent. Now we did react off that supply zone, which is okay. It's like, it is not that important if you take into consideration that price obviously has to retrace at some point, which it is doing right now. So that's completely fine. So what I'm looking at, we're looking at the retracement of price. We see mitigation. We have the supply right here after this flip. We see that mitigation. We see this mitigation, right? And then you have this one left behind, which also kind of get mitigated. But this is kind of the idea that's going through, right? And then for our demand zone, we're kind of looking for price to trade back up to here. This is more of a 1-hour zone. If not, we could always see price, trade back up to towards this high, any of those highs right here. So obviously waiting for Asia as usual. And then what's up, Sped? So this is 2 p.m. right now. We're going to the lower time frame. We see there's a lot of choppiness, which is normal, right? Because the market just opened. Now we're gonna identify the zones where we would be interested to look for buys or sells. Which is, we could look for possibly a sell right here, right? Because we broke structure to the downside. We formed a whole lot of liquidity. If you take into mind that we have that one. So essentially, we're looking for a big sell-off until a given supply zone, or we just retrace all the way up here, which I would identify this also as a valid supply zone after we have this chain formed, right? I speak about supply and demand chains a lot. It is a very efficient way to validate a zone without necessarily breaking structure, if you know what I mean. So anyway, we're just gonna follow it through and see what happens. We're not gonna take any trades until price comes into a PY or break structure, which but I have to go to the 1 minute. I mean, we're gonna look at the 5 minute and then look for the 1 minute for our entries. I want a significant drop from here, which we see we have a nice little drop. So I'm gonna take out this supply right here. I'm gonna look for an entry about this supply, because for the fact that we have broken structure, we have broken this structure, this structure, this structure, all of this. Although we have some nice liquidity to the opposite side, we could maybe identify this as a POI that could possibly make price bounce and run towards there. So we could trade down here and then trade back up to there. So that could be an idea we have, right? So we're just gonna let it play through, see what price does, and after what price does, we'll see. We'll simply see what price is gonna give us. I'm gonna drop down to 1 minute to see if I can catch any moves. Although I'm not really interested to sell from any of these given areas, I would be more interested to sell from higher up, which is going to be around the zone we marked right here. So let's see. We also want to be aware if there's any other demand zone, which this looks like a nice little demand zone. Of course, this is not a higher time frame demand zone, so we're going to need a little bit more confirmation. But this is a nicely demand zone which we could identify and keep in our minds. So we break structure to the upside, which is a good sign, right? And we just identified this here as our demand zone that caused the break of structure. We're gonna simply wait for price to pull back. Once it pulls back or just break structure, which it does right here, it has to go a little bit higher. So we have another break of structure. So now we come into the continuation sentiment a little bit up until that supply, The supply could still be invalid, but we don't want to buy into a supply, right? You want to buy towards a supply, but not in a supply because that will decrease the chances of the trade being successful. So now we identified this zone right here. Gotta set a buy limit right here. Stops to be low. It's actually Asia, so the stop loss is very tight. TP to be here. I'm gonna take a 1.5 pip stop, because there could be small slippage and that could really fuck up the whole trading thing. So you get filled, beautiful. Actually, straight after that big of structure happens. Price trades again break structure, so now it is a good time to move break even because if price wanted to continue, it could pull back here, and after this pullback, just has to simply keep going right after coming here. So let's see, boom, that is a 1 to 6 done, right? Let's just write 6 down. So that is a 1 to 6. That's a nice trade we caught. Now we're trading towards not towards, but in the supply. Now we want a 1 minute confirmation. Actually, we could keep these trades and see how many trades we catch along the way, right? So there was our entry, very nice entry. I'm gonna make it like this, right? So now we just want confirmation, which looking at it now, we still have those highs to take, so we could maybe trade into a higher point of interest, which is gonna be around here. Because of all this liquidity, I would take that POI, which price doesn't give any significant retracement. Price sweeps the high, which is looking nice. But since we are not in that supply we marked, we are not looking for any sells, right? Rather than that, we're looking for buys because we want to trade towards the supply, which got a nice little demand zone right here. And why is this demand zone valid? Because this is the demand zone that cause your supply to break, right? That's the whole idea about it. Now I don't want to limit this. I want to have. Damn, what's going on? It's fucking windy. I don't want to have a limit here. I want to have a market execution with confirmation because it has just been a little bit. So now I have my given confirmation. So now I'm gonna limit this right here. Take a buy. Gonna place a stop below. What's going on, bro? Some weird ass shit going on in my room. Gonna place this. Actually, I think we should be fine placing the stop below here. Targeting opposing supply. This would be, I mean, it is you kind of wanted to wait for a little bit of a better break of structure. So I might wait for price to bounce on the demand and then take a market execution. So what I want now is for price to close above here. Once it does, I will just simply take a buy like this. Stop would be like this, and then I will target probably the higher, or you could even just have your stop like this. That's also good. But like given the response, it is not a good response, right? Because you see weakness in the candle. What I talk about a lot is those two white candles, which are important. So is that a closure or is that a closure? Okay. So this is more of the closure. So you would look for a buy from here. And we're gonna be targeting this now. Although the risk reward is not nice, possibly due to this, I would not take this trade, right? I mean, 2.3 R is not bad, but personally, I would not take that. Uh, just simply because I don't like it, right? Now, uh, let's see if it will be valid or not. Let's see if we either take it. Let's just count it as we take it, right? I wouldn't have taken it, but I wouldn't have taken the last trade as well because it is during Asia, which I don't trade. So there's no point being unrealistic, right? The trade goes into a little bit profit and then goes into drawdown, which is okay. A little drawdown won't hurt nobody. Then you have that stop hunt where we sweep the lows. We actually pop into this demand zone right here, which seems nice. Now we have swept liquidity and popped into this demand. Now, the idea what I want to see is for price to close above this with the two white candles which I speak about. I still haven't invalidated my thesis that we are bullish. Um, we're still bullish. We're still looking for buys. We just want that closure, which is right here. So I would set a buy, stops below this low. And now I'm going to target a little bit higher because the risk reward is not nice. And given the fact that we are so strong, I expect price to trade up to here now, right? Because, first of all, we have liquidity. Second of all, I mean, we still have liquidity here. But third of all, we have swept liquidity before going up and tapped on significant demand zone. So I expect price to rally higher. Now, of course, until the way it gets here, I would be going break even anyway. So it's not that big of a deal personally. So let's see how it plays out, right? So that's a nice push. And what we want to see is, you have this sweep there. So once this high breaks here, we're going break even right here. So this is when you go risk free. You should be chilling around here. Because we are approaching the supply. Now, I'm not going to close a trade because we come into a supply or there's a confirmation for a sell, because that's just simply how I don't work. Now, this trade simply goes to TP towards this supply, which is a 1 to 5. We took what was this loss? This was a -1. So that will 6 plus, that's like what, 6, 5, 11, 10 R, right? 10 R. Looking at here now, we're at the supply, right? We're at the supply. Now we do have the other supply as well, so we could easily trade up to there, but we're just identifying the supply for any given confirmation, which we have to see yet, which you don't see yet because the confirmation I use is the flip model. Now I'm just gonna simply wait for confirmation, which I do see right here. I see the purge of liquidity and then we break below. I would just want a simple retest towards here where I will sell. Right here stops to be the high, and we're gonna be targeting this 15-minute zone. This was a zone that caused a 15-minute break to happen, so this would be a good target for us. A 1 to 9 could maybe even we could go break even a little bit earlier, but that's not a problem really. So now we're just gonna wait simply and see how the trade plays out. You get tapped in, you get stopped out. Now I want to see if there was 15-second confirmation. I don't think there is, but since we don't trade a 15-second on here, we're not gonna count that. But that's -1, so that it comes up to 9R now. Now we're gonna see any other zones, which we still have those relative highs, right? We still have those highs that could be swept, and after that we could see a confirmation and look for potential sells, right? Because we are still, I mean, of course we are bullish, but we are playing the fact that we could see a little retracement. Now we just simply want to get the highs taken and then see the confirmation. So the highs get taken and then the highs get double taken, right? So first high of sweep, then you have the fake break structure, what the sell side liquidity traders call. Then you have the sell off. So I would be looking to sell from around here. simple execution, limit execution. Let's say 4 pip stop. Target once again, as I said, that 15 minute area, which is right here. We are gonna target here because we think from the overall perspective we are bullish, right? On the overall structure we are bullish, but we want to pull back to that demand. And once we pull back towards the demand, then we're gonna look for buys. Again, it's a simple ping pong. Not simple, but it is ping pong, right? Uh, so we get filled there. Um, I thought we didn't get filled for a second. Then you have another confirmation inside the demand zone, supply zone, which is a good confirmation. So now we're just gonna let the trade play out and see what brings us. Overall, good setup, good execution. Right, we had the demand zone. Even could have made a little bit bigger, but that is completely fine. Now, although we could count this for 9R because there's going to be spreads, commission, and blah blah blah, so it's going to end up 9R anyway. So there is full TP for 1 to 9, right? As you see right here. So essentially, what this is now we have 18R, right? We're about 18R into Monday, right? And of course, we don't take all these trades, so it's not very realistic. But this is just to show and backtest what we could have caught during those sessions, right? So now we're inside this demand zone, which we have identified in the 15 minutes. So we're gonna simply wait for confirmation, which we do have right here. We have the break below and then the break above. So now we're looking to buy from here. Now, although I wouldn't take this trade because the trading hours are not particularly good, doesn't mean that we can't take it. We won't take the trade because you want to be realistic and you want to take the trade. Doesn't matter what time, because at the end of the day, we can just skip. I mean, volume dying doesn't mean we can skip, so I'm gonna simply skip. Targeting, I'm gonna be targeting for this supply right here because I still think that price action has to, of course, form 15-minute levels. A 1-minute confirmation I'm not gonna get as far. Although I could actually target that supply right there because we have some liquidity as well. So this would be around the target. So let's see how that plays out. So we managed to get the entry. Good reaction. Now once you break above these highs, I would look to move break even, or we will get stopped out. So one of those two. I think I got pretty close. Actually did not sweep the liquidity, which is a bit weird, but I think it's gonna come there anyway, given the fact that it actually formed double liquidity. Not going break even yet. I think it's just too early. At this point, I'm looking to go break even because the trade has run fairly long, 4 hours. We have this demand zone which should hold, and we also have rollover coming. If you hold through rollover, the spreads can get messy and shit. So we're just gonna simply be patient. The trade is running nicely. 4R would be the target. The trade is running nicely. We're just gonna see if the trade would ever hit, and if it does hit, that is of course a good trade, right? Simple as that. Now, personally, I would have taken the full trade before rollover because even the spreads on rollover can be 20, like 10 pips spreads. Then you could have even been break even during rollover. Personally, I would take the trade off the table, but let's see if we held through where it will possibly come. And looks like we had a perfect target. We identified that this supply zone was valid, although it was valid, although that price the price is still having that liquidity, right? And during that liquidity, you want to make sure that you're targeting the correct zone. And how they target the correct zones, you just identify liquidity, which we did in this scenario, which was nice. Good trade. 4R, not bad, right? I mean, I said not bad, it's actually a good trade, 4R any time of the day. That's 22 hour, right? So that would be 22 hour in about 1 day because it's only the start of next session, next day. So now looking at this price, what I identify is, personally, I would like to sell from all the way up here because it is a nice extreme zone. So I'm looking to personally sell from there. But if I get the confirmation, I'm gladly selling from here. Not a problem, right? But of course, we have to get the confirmation. But it's like simple ping pong, right? If you get the confirmation, you enter. You take an L, no problem. Next zone, next entry. Simple as that. Because this has been proven many times due to data and statistics that I know my system is profitable, I don't really care if I take a loss, right? Because the next trade, if not the next, another trade, I'm gonna take it. I'll win, right? I'm just gonna cover up for anything. So now we're trading too much above that supply right here. So not really interested to sell in this middle of nowhere place. This is like a middle of nowhere. So I'm just gonna wait for my extreme POI to get tapped. Once that does, so I'm not looking for sales here just because the fact that it's in the middle of nowhere, and we want confirmation inside the supply, which is right here. We don't want confirmation inside a dead zone. We don't like any of that. So assuming that, we're just gonna wait simply for confirmation. Once we get confirmation, we simply take the entry. Um, Looks like no confirmation at all. Looks like we are breaking higher on the 50-minute, which gives me identification that we are looking very bullish. Now we are gonna target aim for that 4-hour high if we manage to get into a buy position, because currently I'm looking for buys. I'm not really looking for sales anymore until we get to that supply. So on the 1 minute, I'm simply gonna identify this demand zone, which caused my supply to break, take a buy limit from here. So, we don't stick to the bias. We don't have any bias. We don't lack. Simply what price tells me, I do what price tells me, right? So this would be my entry. Now we hope that we get the entry before price hits the liquidity point, which we got stopped out for, which is okay. I know it happens. Now what we want to see develop next is price to pull back into a new demand, which would be right here, right? If you look at the 5 minutes, probably gonna be a little bit better. We have this zone right here, but personally, I would not take that. I find it a little bit choppy. So this is now 21. Personally, I find it a little bit choppy, so I would not take it. But let's see how price plays out anyway. Okay. So it looks like the zone was actually valid, but that's not a problem. That's just something to consider. Personally, I would not take that zone. It really depends from person to person what you identify as a zone or a break structure or whatever. Well, it's obviously gonna go to TP anyway, so just a little bit of wait. So there's a TP. Now, still on the higher time frame structure, we are bullish, right? And we still have to keep in mind that we're bullish, but we still have to keep in mind that we also took the 4-hour high liquidity, right? So given that, we'll look for potential shorts until price pulls back into here, right? So we're gonna look for shorts until there, and once price pulls back into that POI right here, we could look for the potential buys, right? I mean, maybe you could refine that on 30 seconds, just because the fact that I don't like it being too big. That could look a little bit better. So we're just gonna move it and see what price develops. Now we have a break of structure after sweeping liquidity, which is not a good sign. It means there's bullishness going on, right? And it's not a liquidity sweep, it's a clear break of structure. Now, of course, if we manage to break these lows, then we could potentially short it, but I don't think there is any bearish, because it's being so slow around the liquidity sweep, which I do not like, right? Usually what price should do is price should move fast, right? That's what the liquidity sweep is point of, you wick and you come back fast. Same as this week, but I had to keep going. Now, after the first liquidity sweep, I'm not going to look for sales anymore because price doesn't sweep liquidity for 50 million times. I don't think that's really anything that is to be aware of. Now I'm simply having this demand zone ready for potential buy. Given the fact that we have so much liquidity, you could actually limit this. I think that would be valid, but I'm not gonna take a limit on this because um, it's just I want to wait a little bit more to get more clear picture of price action. Because we have broken these highs, right? But we have not had a significant retracement toward demand zone, um, which has formed a lot of liquidity. Hence, why I'm not looking for the continuation move, right? So we're simply gonna wait, have a bit of patience. Now we can see price stepping down a little bit. We want a little bit of continuing going down, which we do manage to get. Looks nice. It is looking good for now, but it's like very choppy. What do we have here? Inflation. So looking at given price action, what I could see is let's wait a little bit beforehand. But what I expect, no doubt, right now is for price. Uh, and we have swept this London low, right? This is not London low. This is something else though. I think we're gonna pull back into this demand, and if it did happen pre-news, that would have taken a market execution. So let's wait. I don't think we're gonna pump straight, right? Because if it was, then it would have swept liquidity just at the end. What usually happens is before news, price literally just sweeps liquidity, right? It would have swept this and then went higher. That's what I expect. That's what usually happens. Um, I mean, I don't know if I can find maybe later on the stream we will find one, but we're just gonna wait for the reaction. But although I do think that we're gonna pretty much move upwards, it doesn't matter where from. Of course, I'm not targeting. I'm not saying we're gonna dump here and then pump. I think from this POI or maybe even a pullback towards that POI, which is still significantly like 20-30 pips. But I still think we're gonna pump up, right? What the fuck? Of course, if you took a limit, there's no way on earth you get filled by a limit. That's why I don't take limits on news. It doesn't like realistically it doesn't exist, right? You don't get filled by this. There's spreads, there's slippage. You probably got stopped out by this because the spreads. During news, what that's like what the difference is around 2 pips. So there's 100% you get slipped by that or taken out. So now we're gonna identify a 4-hour zone which we are in right now, so we could look for a potential short from here, right? We simple want the confirmation, which we're having some nice confirmation. Now we have the retest, and at this retest, I'm gonna look for sell, right? So this is where I would take my entry. Stops to be the high because we purged the liquidity, and then we broke below. We're just gonna target simply this demand zone. Why is that refined though? Let's look at the 5 minute. Get a little bit of a bigger one, yeah. So we'll take it like this. So this is what I'm gonna target. It's 38 pips. It should move pretty fast because we are in highly volatile news. That's why your stop is gonna be a little bit wider anyway. So this would be a trade that you take, right? That's what I would personally take. I don't know if you guys would take it. Let me know if any of you would take it, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes, right? Would you guys take it or not? Would you guys take this sell? Let me know. I don't know if anybody's even watching. I can't even see that shit. Where do you even see that? How many people are watching? Apparently, it's 11 people watching. Or is that even 11 people? I don't know. Can I see that on the dashboard? Got 4 followers and I'm gonna be rich. 9 viewers. What does viewers mean? Does that mean people are actually watching or does that mean I mean, you should shut up. Shout out to you guys for the follow. I don't know. Is the viewers that you guys are watching? Because nobody's actually responding. Like, what is this? You guys are NPCs. Now, this is kind of cringe. I don't know. I'm probably speaking to myself, but anyway, I assume nobody is gonna take this straight. But I expect a melt off, of course, because that's my idea analogy about the straight. Running pretty nicely, running very nicely. Um, Retapping that supply, which is normal. Now you go break even because the pullback was still possible, but you wouldn't even be break even by. Would you? No, I don't think so. So TP actually hits perfect. Wait, that was a glitch. It looks like TP hits perfect. Yeah, I mean, I would have TP'd there because what is that? I would have TP'd, of course, five away because of the spreads and shit. So this is probably like 4R, we could say. So that's 25R. Um, who's watching? Confused. I'm gonna ask everyone. No one watching or just glitch. It says 14 viewers, but I assume that it's like people coming and going. That's what I assume. You watching. Now why are they responding? Fucking retards. Oh, anyway, we just I mean do it. I mean I think we can count that as TP, right? Yeah, I think so. I mean let's not count it, it's okay. I'm watching, mate. Yo, Ollie, what's up, bro? So anyway, that's 2025-ish. So now what we see is, price has significantly pulled back from that place, which we're gonna now take out this zone, right? We're gonna actually move this to the side to not take too much of place. We want the confirmation inside the zone once again because it is a little bit of a big zone because of the high impact news and the volatility. And the target is going to be those highs, right? We're still bullish. We still think that we're going to go higher. We just traded the pullback. Very simple, right? Given our target on the 4 hour, we're going to target around, I think we would move anywhere between here because we also have that liquidity there. So I think this could be a nice target. Where now, of course, this is not going to be the one trade target, but like trading towards on higher time. So now we just want to break below and break above. Very simple. Now timing is not the best, so we're just gonna skip through because I don't think we're gonna get any trades in. No price about to pull back into this demand, which it does. So let's see if you manage to get an entry. It's not a sweep yet. Very tricky. I'm not taking a limit here because there was no sweep yet. Although price ran, still didn't fit my entry criteria, which is why I'm not taking it, right? We're gonna respect our entry criteria, and it's not really the best time to trade anyway. Gonna wait for Asia. I'm possibly looking to short from here, at a nice supply chain, or again buying from this that place right there. Price did come back to that demand, which looks nice. So what we have is, we have these demand chains now, um, which is looking nice. Now we need to, of course, break above now in order for this new demand to be valid, which now it seems to be valid. So now I'm looking for a buy inside that demand, or we might have a little bit of a sell-off from the supply above we marked right here. So it's either gonna be one of those two. We're not gonna force it. We're not gonna We're not gonna enforce anything. You just want to be patient, and whatever price comes towards, you're gonna wait for confirmation. Very simple, basic confirmation. And after that, then you could possibly look potential entries. Very simple. I assume it's very simple. Price trading a little bit higher. Price inside POI. Looks like we got the confirmation. So we're setting our limits. Taking it like this. Set a buy. Stop to be the high. A low target is simply the supply zone we marked previously. So let's see how that plays out. There's probably a little bit of slippage as well. So we get stopped out right there. What's up, everybody? So we're about 24 now, right? We just lost 1 hour because of this trade. Now the idea is still valid. We're still valid trading in the supply. It looks like we're just gonna trade a little bit of deeper, which is okay, right? It's okay to take this loss, to be honest. It's not that deep. So now what I want simple confirmation inside this POI. I mean, it is a big POI, so it's gonna be a little bit tricky to get confirmation, right? Now we went this low, which is fine. I don't think the demand has broken yet, because if you look at the 50-minute, I like to look at the 50-minute for the candle closures. Does not significantly look like a break below, right? So I'm gonna wait a few more candles, and if you look at the few next candles, you see properly that is obviously not a liquidity sweep. Now for this to be confirmed, we need to break above this supply, because this supply caused a break of structure, right? And once the supply breaks, then you're just simply aware that price is not sweeping liquidity, but just simply it is sweeping liquidity. It is just not going lower. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, very simple. Price breaks above. Now what we are doing is we're gonna identify the demand that broke supply, which is right here, and we set a buy. Right, demand supply flip. Very simple concept. Stop would be below that low. Again, same target, that supply zone right there. So let's see how that plays out. Entry gets tagged. Very good reaction. A little bit of slowdown, which is okay. Now we did not go break even because we broke structure. The retest is still valid, so that was actually another entry which you could have taken. And then price obviously is gonna TP. So simple, you take the loss, you don't get hurt. Next trade, you're back in it, right? That's +5 right there. So that's 29, right? So you have 29R. We're gonna probably check it down a little bit more because the spreads and commission and blah blah blah. So now we're looking for a potential sell. Let me not remove that actually from that POI, right? And given the fact that we could also trade all the way up there, I don't think any of this supply is gonna hold. So I'm gonna target these liquidities next if we get a bias option, right? So looking at this, we easily break the supply without an issue. So what I'm gonna identify is just simply my demand zone that broke this supply, which is gonna be this zone, right? This is the zone once again that broke the supply. And why is this a supply break? Because simply I don't think this is a liquidity sweep, because if you look at the point, we have this supply chain and this is a reaction of the chain. So I don't think price is going to continue going lower and higher until, I mean, it is going to continue going higher. But what the thing is, whenever you have a chain, right, which we had right here, we had this chain, right, chain, chain, chain. Once you break the first one, usually what price does is goes to the most extreme, and this is what I'm anticipating once again. We have all of these chains, but what I expect is price to pull back into this one, right? Let me move this to the side, and then target all those opposing liquidity as well, right? So that's the whole analogy behind it. Of course, I could be wrong. This could just be a liquidity sweep, But that's a risk I'm willing to take because after the liquidity sweep, I will still catch a potential sell, right? Actually, let me make this 3 pips, right? Because you want to be realistic a little bit. And then we're gonna target simply this the demand zone right here, and then um, actually, again, we might just target the highs. To be honest, what would you guys target? Let me hear it. Would you guys? That seems so simple. If you got all the confirmation, it is really not that hard. I mean, I don't want to say it's hard, but like, would you guys take the high or the supply? Let me hear it. Whoever guesses correct gets a gift from me. Okay, whatever. Split TP. No, 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 no. Splitting TP is for bitches, bro. Don't split TP. It's gonna mess up. It's gonna mess up your profitability. Trust me. Just don't do it. Personally, because you had such a good day, you could easily just target here 5.5. I don't think anyone would complain about a 5.5. Of course, we could see price trade up to the liquidity, but it is fine, right? I don't really care. I mean, of course, you want to target for the most, but we're gonna keep it realistic, right? Because if you are a realistic trader, what you think is, price could pull back from the supply. It could go higher, but you want to assure that you get the profit. So I think the supply is a decent target to be realistic. But for whoever set the high, we'll still keep in mind that we have this high and see if it goes up there. But you also want to keep. Is it gonna be too as well? Sorry. Yes, I'm recording it. I'm recording it right now. Actually, I think I am right. Yeah, I'm recording it, so you're fine. So what I usually want to do when backtesting is you want to think about it like you're live, right? And when you're live, let's say I'm trading live, what I see is we have the supply zone. We could see a rejection from here, so that's why I want to TP it. Of course, price could trade higher, which is obviously normal. Obviously, 50-50. More leaning that we are gonna break above the high because we are in bullish sentiment, but just given the fact that we want to consider the live emotional scenario, we're just gonna trade. We're just gonna take the trade as. Now, of course, we could get stopped out, and saying all of this would have just went to trash. But I mean, I hope we don't get stopped out. But anything can happen in this game. It's like common sense. I think that. But yeah, let's just see how the trade rolls. And yeah, so you get your entry. Actually, nice entry. Okay. So, of course, now going break even is not smart. And let me explain why going break even now is not smart. Because first of all, you have break structure, right? Now, when I take my entries, your break structure, there's still a possibility for price to retest into here, right? There is the possibility, and you could even set your entry right here for another entry, right? I mean, if you didn't take the limit here, this would have been a more confirmational entry. And that is the whole idea behind this, right? That's what I would personally take. But of course, it depends from person to person. So now let's see what happens. I'm just curious. Of course, this could also end up in a loss. And if you take this, actually, I would take the high, and I would make the stop a little wider for this. So that would have been your trade, right? And we got news approaching, and I talk about news a lot. Liquidity sweeps on news. If we get to if we don't have TP before news, I'm gonna move my TP higher because I think we're gonna be bullish on news because I'm in a buy, right? It's very simple. But oh my god, it's actually quite close. Let me actually mark it like this, right? We still have room to skip. So I would have not taken profit here. Let me tell you why. I would have not taken profit here just because of the fact that there's news coming, right? I think that makes common sense, right? So I would have not taken profit here, and I'm not taking profit at that high as well. Where I'm taking profit is simply gonna be the 4-hour supply we marked. But I'm gonna take the profit not at that one. I'm gonna take it right here. I'm gonna take with the liquidity we have, which is gonna be right here. And this is because of the fact that I don't want to wait too long. Simple, right? I think that's very simple. Or could I wait? Could I actually watch another target? I think this liquidity is fine, right? All the liquidity we have here, I think that's pretty straightforward. Now, only reason why I would do this is because of news, right? You only do this because of news. If there wasn't news, then your trade would have hit for a 3R or whatever. Actually, we did not get the second entry right there, so that is not an entry. But this is just because of news, right? And if it wasn't for news, then you would have been break even. Actually, our entry is right here, right? Okay, so that's a 16R. Now you could have taken a partial right here and go break even. It is what it is, whatever you want to do. I'm not gonna count as 16R, but I still think we're gonna trade way higher because of news. And you could say that we're inside supply, which I do agree with. But what I don't agree with is that we're still bullish, and we still have to go to a higher POI because this POI, it is a POI, but it's not a big POI. The difference between a 5-minute POI and a 4-hour POI is very big, right? And EU actually bounced from a 15-minute POI, which I want to see a break structure on the 50-minute. Usually, this is gonna happen now. Now, of course, we could get fucking slipped for like assuming. I mean, I wouldn't make my stop below this low because I mean, even maybe this low, because let's say once price goes below this low, then it's gonna pump further, right? But let's say your limit gets triggered here, you're probably gonna get stopped out here or here, and then you get slipped less. So that's my idea. I would take my stop. I would share my stops all the way up there. So I think that makes sense. Now here's news. There's a sweep. Okay. Give no confirmation for sell, which is probably gonna run higher now. Okay, so it runs higher, which is the whole analogy we had. So we didn't speak for nothing. I guess that's. I guess we didn't speak for nothing. I guess. But yeah, so that was a good reaction. Now, what we see is we see a nice break. Could easily see price retrace here. Take the buy here. Now we are trading a little bit high into price, so that's why I would be a little bit cautious. Of course, if TP hits before entry, then you're not taking the entry. I think it's pretty obvious. 16R, I'm not gonna count it. I'm gonna count it as 4R, right? Because this was 4R, but this was just for demonstration. Yeah. But what is your question? It was just for demonstration, right? That with news you could actually make your trades run a little bit. Letting your winners run is actually a good thing, and doing it correctly with correct analogy is very important in my opinion. Anyway, what's the question, bro? I keep going. Once the question pops up, we'll see. We took the liquidity we spoke about, and we're just gonna simply wait for confirmation. Given the fact that we are also trading inside, a decent 4-hour POI. This is what is this week? Okay, this is still a decent 4-hour POI, right? Because that broke that structure probably on the 1-hour. So it is still something to consider. Can you open 4 hours and one of them? Okay. So what do you want to see? I'm gonna take a screenshot or what? I'm confused. Uh, why do you choose those supplies in the middle? You mean these ones? Or what? What do you mean? This is not a supply, this is just liquidity, right? This is not a supply. I'm referring to liquidity as my target to take profit from because we are bullish. When you're bullish, you target liquidity. When you're bearish, no, when you trade with trend, right? When you trade with the trend, you're targeting liquidity. But when you're trading against the trend, you're going to be targeting demand or supply zones because let's say I'm trading, for example, right here, right? We had that sell Why did we target this demand zone? Because we are still bullish, and price most likely gonna reverse from here, right? That's why I took profit here and not on this liquidity. Now, of course, price did go to the liquidity, which is okay, but price doesn't always go to liquidity. For example, um, where did we also go counter trend? I mean, the good thing is we didn't go that much counter trend. For example, let's say we sold. Let's say we sold right here, right? Let's say we sold right here after the liquidity sweep, 1 minute break structure, whatever. And there's a difference between targeting the demand zone or the liquidity or this liquidity, right? Price never went to the liquidity. That's the whole point. Why are you? I don't get your point. Why are you aiming for extreme? I'm not aiming for extreme. The thing is, you know, with trading, you always want to target the best possible play. But if price gives you a confirmation, so what I usually do is I'll mark out different supply zones, right? And whichever supply zones gives me enough confirmation to look for a position, that's what I enter. I don't want to be too picky, but of course I want to have the best supply. I want to have the best entry, of course. But you always want to take into consideration that you could potentially not get the confirmation, right? And if you look at this supply, I had the supply marked previously, and it's still a valid supply, right? You have a 4 hour supply here, the chain right here. So this is still a chain. This is still valid, and this didn't get mitigated by anything, right? It's not a mitigation because it didn't break structure. So I still anticipate price to move all the way up here. I don't know if that make any sense, but I hope it did. Now, price ran to take profit as we said right here. So now it's a little bit tricky, right? Price is a little bit in the middle of nowhere. So I think the best idea here is to wait and see what price is gonna do next, right? So we're simply gonna wait. It looks like we do have news. We have FOMC. Okay, that's interesting. We actually have FOMC. Okay. Okay, let me hear the thoughts. What do you guys think? What time frame do you mark the zones out? Usually the 15 minute and the 4 hour. If the 4 hour is uncertain, I'll look on the 1 hour, but usually just the 4 hour and the 15 minute. The bigger zones I don't refine too much because it's gonna give me 1 minute confirmation anyway. And inside a big zone, a 1 minute confirmation is still gonna be 5 to 10 pips. So that takes a difference out. And in little zones like 1 minute, 3 minute, I just refine them. But like if I look for confirmation, I don't refine too much. But if I take limit entries, then I refine it. I hope that makes sense. And yes, seconds confirmation on the 15 second, which you don't have to use by the way, because I'm showing all 1 minute confirmations, but every trade I take is on a 15-second confirmation, which is still the idea of, you know, for example, let's say you had a limit here. I just wait for 15-second confirmation inside here. And let me give an example. Sometimes even better to take the limit, right? Because right here there was no confirmation on the 15-second, so it's better to take the limit. So I don't always. I usually what I do is take the 15-second confirmation, but like on these type of models, it's really hard. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, now I want to hear the ideas of news. What do you guys think? News, pump or dump? Let me know. Whoever guesses it, you're G. I'm just gonna trade simply how we always should trade, right? Looking at the 15, we're trading in the supply, right? That's the first hint you get, right? But you're trading on what type of supply? You're trading in a 1 hour supply, right? Which is nice. And we have a nice little 1 hour supply. Now, what do you guys think? We're gonna sell off, we're gonna pump through the supply. What do you guys think? Let me hear ideas. Dump, I think pump. Okay. We're gonna see if we do find confirmation, right? Because that is the most important part. So we can speak about pump or dump, but if price doesn't confirm the pump or dump, it doesn't really make sense anyway. So looking at given price right now, it's a little bit tricky. Personally, it's a little bit tricky. But since we traded, this almost in the supply, so I count it as a supply. Since we traded in here, and since we're not in any given demand zone, we did sweep liquidity, which is a good sign. Personally, I would pass on this, but what you could also identify is that we break structure here and retested the supply zone. When do we not call this a supply zone? Whenever break of structure happens to the upside, whenever the supply breaks. So this would have been your entry, for example, and where you're targeting. I mean, assuming news target, we're gonna target a 50-minute point because we're bearish, bullish. We're gonna target a 50-minute demand. We're not targeting liquidity. We're targeting demand zone, right? That's the whole idea. So this is the trade you guys would have taken, right? I went to 17. Let's move the stop a little bit bigger. So like this. 1 to 13. Let's see if it hits. Now, personally, of course, I would not take this trade because it's a little bit unclear to me. Because we just swept liquidity as well. But I'm very curious, actually. Okay. Okay. Yo, mommy, bro, you're rich. Okay, that's a big ass reaction. Now, there's your target. It gets met perfectly. Now, this is the perfect example of taking profit at a demand and not a liquidity. I mean, if you took liquidity, it would have been hit anyway. But taking profit at the demand zone is way more important, in my opinion. Actually, price does manage to give a nice little retest right here, which you missed, but it was okay. It's actually too late to take an entry. But if you took that trade, congrats, you actually nailed it. Of course, during news, so I'm not gonna count this. But during news, I would not take that trade, to be honest. Could trade news, but like has to be with like small risk, like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3%. Of course, depending on the news, but you have to consider that you could always get slipped 10 times more than your entry. I've had it before. I've risked 0.25% in CPI before, and I lost 2.5%. And that was back when I was just getting started with funded accounts, and that was the worst feeling of my life. I was like shaking, bro. I was like, what the hell? My stop was actually pretty high. My stop was like 8 pips, and that shit ran for like 100 pips on one candle. Back then, CPI was crazy, bro. So now approaching, we're approaching, what is it called? Asian session. Now, what we're looking for at Asian session is simply we're gonna wait for price to give us an area to short from or long from. I mean, I think that's common sense. And where I want to short from, identifying this zone, I don't think we could short off it yet because it didn't break structure. So I'm gonna wait for either those highs or a tap into this demand. Now, of course, price did pull back from here, but that is fine. I didn't have confirmation, so that was no entry for me anyway. We have nice confirmation for a buy here, so I'm gonna take a limit right here. Stops, to be this low. Target is the supply unmarked. I think yeah, that would be valid. 15R. During Asia's the thing with Asia going through London is you can actually pull a big R because the fact that Asia's volume is so low, right? So we get the entry. Price chopping around entry, which is not a good sign. And wait. These type of entries are actually the most boring ones because you rather get stopped out than have choppiness and draw down a profit. And we get stopped out, which is we have now 32. That's kind of 30 with commission and spreads. We want to be realistic. You're not gonna be making no spreads, no commission on a live account. Now, what I always say is we're still inside the demand zone. Just because we swept those lows doesn't mean we are coming bearish now, right? So what I'm going to be looking at is for price to give me a pullback. Take out the now we did take out the low and take out the high, but that's not a significant sweep for me, so I don't think it's gonna hold. Although price is trading a little bit high now, I would have wanted to short from here, but maybe we could short off here. It's a little bit pullback, a little pullback. Looks like no pullback. Okay, and price coming inside demand zone once again. Sweeps the low, retests the low. Do you guys think that this entry would be valid? I would not take this, but this could be a valid trade. And because the chalk flip was valid, it did just take out the low, which is okay. Now we're about to break structure, I think. So now I'm gonna identify the next demand zone, which would be around here. Now we long from here, right? Just we're coming towards a continuation. Of course, I'm not gonna try this bullshit because of the fact that we significantly what is it called? Are in this huge as demand zone, right? On the 15-minute, it's huge as demand zone, which broke structure to the upside with miles, right? So that is, you want to make sure that you let your winners run on the correct places, which is this demand zone. Targeting this high, to be honest. I think this high is valid. The supply zone, we had that chain right there, very valid chain. So I think this is a nice entry. Yeah, this whole notification. I got fans, boy. Now break structure again. Okay, now we're gonna take this one and fill an entry right there. Pip stop. Same scenario. TP at that supply, which caused the news to happen. Now it looks like no entry. Looks like no entry, so we're gonna delete. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta go all the way back. Fuck's sakes. Okay. So it looks like we had no entry there, right? So we're gonna delete these. These are useless now. What I'm gonna look at is now that probably price is gonna run towards TP. I still identified this right here. We still have that zone right there. I want to have a 5-minute zone where I could possibly buy from, which is this zone actually. We might keep this limit on, to be honest. I think this zone is valid. This zone is still valid because that's a zone that causes the supply to break. The stop is going to be a little bit wider. I mean, 4 pips not that big, to be honest. And target would be here. This is going to be the trade. So let's see. And we can break structure as many times as we want. I mean, we could look for a sell first. Maybe a sell into the supply demand. I would take a sell right here. I'm not gonna lie. That's not really a break structure, is it? But I would still take the sell. Well, the stop's gonna be above this high. 2 pip. It's 2 pip a little bit tight. Let's make it 2.4 into the entry. So that's a -1. This is spreads and commission. This is spreads and commission. I didn't lose 3R. That was just to count in spreads and commission. We're still bearish though from this. I think I'm gonna short again from here. Same scenario. This time it did break structure, which is okay. Is that a fill? No, that's not. You gotta be kidding. There's no way, bruh. There's fucking no way. Well, it is what it is. That's 8 hour down drain. It's probably gonna hit TP because we is so confident. Now, what do you see? Um, what do you see? We have some triple news. I mean, I think this one is useless conference. What is this? Retail sales, and then we have interest rate decisions. So, since I mean, we had this limit, right? But let's say you take a market execution right here, right? Or even right here, right? Let's say even right here, you take a market execution, but a little bit confirmation of the white candles. We do have news now. I think it's pretty obvious what news is gonna do. Pump. I think it's pretty obvious. What do you guys think? Now the target is gonna be a little bit higher, of course, because we have news. And just let me know what you guys are targeting. What do you guys think is gonna happen? We're gonna target this supply right here, like this. So what are the ideas? Let me guys know. Like, pump pump. Okay. Okay. Um, let's go. Okay. Yeah, well, yeah. I think it was quite obvious, right, that this would have been a pump. Now we do have another news. So what do you guys think that another news is gonna be? Let me know. If you guys know the other news as well, that would be bang on. So we have okay, I actually pre-rolled it. Well, it was bullish. I don't know how yeah. Yeah, okay. Fair play. So it was bullish. Um so come on, don't be shy. Hit TP. Okay, TP hits. 9R we counted right after the confirmation. So that would be 35R, right? It would be 38, but because spreads a commission, I'm not gonna be too greedy. 35R is okay. Of course, it might be more, but you always want to add on life conditions. Sometimes you risk a little bit less, you risk a little bit more. It all differs, right? Now what I'm looking at is price trading inside this supply. I don't know why I didn't target here to be honest, but now we just want confirmation for a sell opportunity. Which I want to sell from here. We also have some liquidity just above there, so that is actually good. Good. Now, as we know, my time frame is bullish, probably targeting this 5 minute demand zone right here from news from 1 to 10. That's a big RR boy. Entry gets tagged, gets stopped out for -1. How did you know I just guess? Nah, bro, nah. How did you guess, bro? News is not guessing. I'm telling you. If you know how to trade, nah, I'm not gonna say if you know how to trade, but like 99% just back test or forward test this. Whenever you're gonna be trading news, what you're simply gonna do is put a position size tool because I've done that before, right? I didn't go into live just trading news. Just put your position size, right? Simply put your position size. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna say to yourself, okay, today news is gonna pump. And usually it shows if it's gonna pump like 10 minutes up front or 5 minutes. You can't really precisely afternoon, bro. What you're looking at today? We're just backtesting EU because it's holiday. It's very dry today. We're just gonna be backtesting some Euro USD. We have been backtesting for the past 1 hour. Actually, my thing says that I'm a crypto trader. This was where I wants to go. Yeah, crypto and trading. Well, we're not trading crypto. I mean, I only trade Bitcoin, which I've been in the Bitcoin long from 20 My Bitcoin long entry was fucking nasty. I'm not gonna lie. My entry is 25.2K, which was on the wick, right? When Bitcoin wicked up, and my target is 27.8 and 32K. So that is my target on Bitcoin if you're a crypto trader, right? But anyway, we're gonna stick back to back testing. Now, what do we see? We see that we are trading a little bit higher into the supply. Now, that doesn't mean that the supply has failed yet, right? That doesn't mean, but it also doesn't mean. I mean, it means nothing at the end of the day. What is this? Why am I getting notification? I don't want that. At the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything. You're just gonna be patient and see what price action is gonna deliver to us. Um, so we're just gonna wait for confirmation. If it doesn't come, then it doesn't come. Not really the end of the world, is it? Now we do have some confirmation, but I want to be aware that did we take out that 4 hour high, which we did, but we still have this significant high. Let me take a look at the 1 hour. We always want to keep in mind of liquidity. So I think we could run up to all the way up there since we are trading a little bit higher into the demand supply zone. So instead of looking for sells, I want to look for buys. Just because we already took a loss inside the supply zone, I think we could trade a little bit more higher. That's my idea of this supply zone, right? So let's see if we get a pullback. I would want a pullback towards here because this is like the place where the demand, the supply kind of broke, and we had that break of structure. Now where's my okay? So this is the 4 hour high. Okay, so there's the 4 hour high getting taken very nicely. Now, are we shifting bearish? Not yet with a confirmation, of course. What I want to see is the purge of these highs and then have a potential sell towards the demand zone. Again, we always want to short to a demand zone if we are bullish on the higher time frame, which we of course are, right? We have been buying for the past a week. I mean, past hour actually. But yeah, actually, a nice confirmation here. I'm gonna look for a sell point opportunity from this supply right here. 2 pip stop. Um, Simple target. The 5 minute PY, right? I'm gonna take a little bit bigger because I want to be okay with my targets like this. I think that this is like yeah. So why do I take it bigger? Because we are still bullish. I want to be okay with my targets. I want to make sure that they actually hit. So yeah, we're just gonna wait, see what happens. Move on a 3 minute because I think it's not gonna hit until Asia. I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Well, anyway, as you guys can see, there's the entry, right? Uh, and apparently it doesn't take profit. So we got break even, which is actually painful. Yeah, we got break even, which is painful, but part of the game, right? Now we're gonna still go to the 4 hour, see what's up on the 4 hour, which we have this nice little zone right here. So now I want to trade up to the 4 hour supply. And where do I want to trade from? Well, looking at the 5 minute, we had that nice break of structure. You have the nice demand chain. I think we could see a pullback here and get a 1 minute confirmation. So that is what I'm gonna do. And once we get that, then I'm simply gonna long. I don't think. I think it's pretty obvious what there's to do in the market. So no confirmation whatsoever. Now we pull back. No confirmation neither. So yeah, it looks like no confirmation at all. I mean, we do have a nice break of structure right here. So what I'm thinking is taking a buy from here. Taking a buy from here. Actually, let me refine it. I think we could refine that. Stops to be the low. Target the supply. So yeah, let's see how that plays out. Get tagged in. Get stopped out. It's okay. So that's -1. We're on what now? 33. So that's 33 right now. We still have this demand right here, but there's no confirmation. If you break above this, yeah, so now I would be taking a market execution. I'm gonna take this stop and target this once again. That's what I'm gonna try. I think this is still a valid entry because of the fact that we just swept liquidity and went a little bit deeper, which is okay. We're just keeping on breaking structure, so now we could actually have another entry around here, right? You have these small breaks of structure, and this would be your trade. Stops to be this low, and then you could move the other position to break even. So you're actually risking 0% because you're actually risking 1%, not 2%, right? So we get tagged in. Is that a stop out? That's not. That is that a stop? Not right. I don't think that's a stop. Okay, that is that is a stop. So that's 32 right there. Um, let's see what happens next. Yeah, of course now price wants to trade higher. Um, okay, so what I see now is just think we're gonna have to wait, either get another entry from here or wait for the pullback. Now what I see that we have the flip, the retest, the valid retest. Now what I see on the 1 hour, did we miss a significant supply? I mean, if we would have taken the wick, then this was a valid supply. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I think this is valid. And why is this valid? I'll show you guys now. I'll show you guys I'm not lying. Actually, I'll show it later on. But I would take an entry right here. Because of the fact that, we had the flip, retest, supply chain, I think it's very obvious. You're gonna sell from here, and you're gonna be targeting this low right here, which is the London low. So this would be my trade. Okay, that was fast. Okay, that's perfect execution. Nice entry. 38R. Now to show, I mean, this is Friday, it's the end of the week. To show that there wasn't cap and that the supply wasn't cap, let me just real quick go towards here, right? This is Friday, right? So we had the supply marked, and as you can see, it's 19700 in supply at 222. Yeah, so 222. I actually took this trade live, right? Yeah, as you guys can see, this was my entry, right? It was actually this one. I actually entered already on this one because I had the supply mark, and I guess I took the entries here. I have the breakdown in my in the mentorship. So it looks like you always have different ideas. Then this point I got stopped out twice, but on live I actually caught these. If you look at the profit section, right? These are my entries, and then I also a trade from this. So this is from Friday 6/16. Yeah, so it is valid. But yeah, didn't make another. So why didn't switch your entry? What do you mean? You mean this one? I didn't take this one because I wanted to get the mitigation, and we were trading inside of the demand zone. Look at it, you trade inside of the demand zone. I'm not gonna sell inside of the demand zone. This is still valid, right? This is still your valid demand zone that broke structure, so that's why I didn't take it. If that makes sense. Okay. Well, anyway, that was Euro for the week. Pretty nice week. And that's a big. This one Bitcoin entry from this man was my entry, right? But I got slipped a little bit, so I actually got a better entry. My limit was right here, and I got slipped like around here. Running nicely in profit. My stop was this low because I actually explained this already. And then for today is a very shitty day. I end up going break even on the day. I was live today in the mentorship. We took a buy, went nicely into profit, and then I said once price has a retest and comes back here, I said I would take a partial. So I took 50% off here, just because we did chat at those supplies. That was 1% partial because I was running like 2R. I was also risking a little bit less, like zero point 0.5. So I was risking for 3 or 4R. And then I took a partial, then we got break even, and then price just choppy. I mean, it is what it is. Had to be, yeah. Today was very choppy. I mean, it's holiday, so can't really complain too much. For tomorrow, what I'm seeing is I'm still bullish on you. I think we could trade all the way up to look at the 4 hour. I think we could trade all the way up to these highs, these daily highs, which hasn't been untouched. I think I still see that. And then for gold, gold did a fat retracement. Holy shit. I think gold, my target was 1972. I had a long at 1928. I closed it around 19, I don't know where, but closed a little bit higher. My target is 1972 and then 2010 is my next target, which is gonna be this supply right here. And then for the NAS 100, I mean NAS, what do you expect on this day? Nothing. Then UJ took a fat shit. UJ was also choppy. Everything was choppy today. I think it's common sense. Uh, so yeah, I think that'll be it for the session, guys. It was a good session, 1.5 hours. Not too bad. If you guys don't have other questions, make sure to follow me. This is my first time using Kick. I think it's pretty solid. What do you guys think about this? You guys think it's a good platform to stream on or whatever? I think it's alright. You can also see my socials here. What is this? Are these valid? Okay, so this is my TikTok. Yeah, I have a great too. My YouTube. If you want free content, watch my YouTube. This live will go on YouTube